All right. Good morning, Mr. Pinky. How are you, mate?
Good, brother. How are you doing?
Good, good. You were just saying you guys don't do morning classes. I had a 5:30 a.m. class this morning, bright and early.
Sorry for you, I wouldn't be able to do it, but yeah, like morning sessions are pretty dead here. So at the moment, I might do a Muay Thai mums session at some stage, maybe 9:30. But at the moment, no morning stuff.
So you just do evening classes?
Evening classes starting from 4:30 every day,
Yep.
and I'll do one-on-ones throughout the day.
Nice. With your fighters and stuff, do you just have everyone trained together, or do you have separate training?
Train the fighters train at the same time as the Muay Thai for all class, but they don't train with the general students as such.
So they just partner up together and work together and do pads separately. Yeah, yeah, cool.
If someone's showing a bit of promise in the general class, I'll chuck them in to partner up with one of the fighters that doesn't have a fight coming up or something like that.
Yeah,
Give them a taste of reality.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Are you the only trainer though, or is that you got other people helping?
So I pretty much did it all off on my own for the first 2.5 years.
Yep.
If I took off, I had a few guys that would help out and stuff. Having Ryan Angel's been a godsend. He helped out a lot. Then he was in Thailand for 6 months. But now I've got four trainers. So four of my fighters run classes as well.
Oh, nice. How long's the gym been open for? Because you were away, obviously, and you came back. He wasn't away in jail. He was away in Thailand. So,
Believe it or not. So I got back to Australia in 2014, January 2014, on a holiday and ended up just staying. So I
yeah,
worked out of another gym for 2 years. So I've been open for three and a bit years now.
nice.
And yeah, we moved a year and a half ago to a bigger premises that was on a main road and stuff. It was taken off a lot since then.
Yeah, sick, man. I see all your videos and stuff, and it looks like it's always pumping, which is good to see.
Busy winter. It's been busier than the summer was, so pretty stoked.
Yeah, I can like everyone always comes to our gym. It's like, oh, do you guys get busy in summer, busy in winter? I think we die off when the weather changes. So if it goes from really hot to really cold, or really cold to really hot, or a public holiday, or whatever bullshit excuse people can find, it kind of dies off. And then when it settles back into normality, then they start to sort of come in and
I
yeah,
admit last winter I was lucky to have 3 or 4 people in a session. That was including fighters.
wow,
Even the fighters went AWOL. There was only like Tom, Ryan, and Jason in guaranteed every day.
yeah.
And aside from that, it was just stragglers that come in here and there. It was pretty sad, actually.
Yeah, it's man, it's hard to get motivated sometimes when you're getting one or two showing up, and it's like those two people you're probably two most motivated because they're the ones who've actually bothered showing up, and that's when I think you need to like have the energy to give it back to them. But you're just like, where the hell are the rest of these bozos?
I think a lot of it is though like it it shows that people like ourselves love what we do. So like the fact that we do keep going, even those 3 people. Like I know gyms that have shut the doors because 2 people rocked up. Oh, we're just going to go home tonight.
Yeah,
Like if you love what you do and you're passionate about passing on your knowledge, it doesn't really matter if there's 1 or 20 people there. So I
exactly.
believe obviously financially you need more people there, but without the finances, if it's the love, then it doesn't matter if it's 1 or there's 100.
How do you find, speaking of like finances of running a gym, I mean, that's the big sort of $1 million question, I guess, is how do you balance that? How do you balance wanting to, I consider you a gym that would, lack of a better word, running an authentic Muay Thai program. It's kind of a weird word, but also, you have to balance the commercial reality of running a gym. How do you find that?
It is a fine line. Financially, 100% I still struggle. Like I've only just started really getting onto pushing people to sign up and but I'm getting the numbers in the classes because I'm pushing the people to sign up to direct debit.
Yeah.
Whereas before, it used to just be like, I don't know if you saw Matt Smith's post about not getting fights and stuff the other
Yeah, I
day.
did. I was going to write something back on it, but you go first, and then I'll kind of say what I'm sort of thinking. Yeah,
My thing was similar to that. Like, I know I'm good at what I do. I'm a good teacher, and I know my shit. So I just wanted to let actions be louder than the words. But at the end of the day, you can't. So now I've started really pushing it, and people are coming in and realizing that I'm good at what I do. It sucks that in today's day and age that you actually have to push it so hard to get it. But it now that I am pushing it, I am starting to survive a little bit easier.
Yeah.
And I invest a lot of money in my fighters, as you probably know, with traveling.
Man. Yeah, I was going to say that. Like that's one of the things. Like you guys have come out to most of the Roots shows, brought fighters out. You fly everywhere. You're on a lot of events. And I don't think the male modeling career can be paying that well. But good on you for doing it, man.
Porn career's doing well though.
Yeah, I think, but that's the setup. The setup we got in today. Like my wife's going to walk in. We got cameras and lights on the couch, and I'm like, "Geez, Tom, you put a do not disturb sign on the door." But I think part of that with the gyms, you know, when you start, you know, like you said, pushing it and stuff, and kind of being a little bit more financially minded, I think you end up being a little bit more professional on all sides of it, that they deal with your customers, and it's all aspects of it. I think people always kind of go, you know, it's like we've got this thing. I mean, I reckon Tom and I have it with what we do with Rebellion. It's like kind of like you almost feel dirty trying to make money out of it, and like you're some starving artist. But it's like, no, like if you do something really well, you should be compensated for it. And people expect that nowadays. I mean, you don't go anywhere without having to commit to something. You make a massage appointment, there's a 24-hour cancellation, you prepay everything. I think people are just getting used and expecting it.
I too, yeah. I think, and a lot of, like, you know, I say some pretty inappropriate shit, as you know. And I used to do it during, because most of the people that were coming into the gym knew me, we were not cliquey, but everyone was pretty casual, you know. Whereas now I do have people that aren't in my inner circle and stuff. So I've actually, you know, I've cut out a lot of the inappropriate stuff I used to say during classes, and being more professional with my promotion of the business I've become more more professional in the way I run the business as well.
Yeah, and it is, and like I think, you know, a lot of times people, I mean, you think you say bad stuff. The stuff that comes out of my mouth sometimes in class, and I've had to take notice of that, because if someone gets to know you or gets to know me, or I don't know, Don, after a while they know some of the things we say. Like, we're pretty decent people. I mean, you and I are pretty decent people, but you have to give them that initial chance to get to know that. Yeah,
it's risky. It's risky with people who don't actually know yet.
Yeah,
like I take the piss out of my missus a fair bit during classes. Like she trains most days, and I talk about our bedroom antics and stuff a fair bit in front of the whole class, and that goes down all right though. Like that keeps everyone in the mood. But yeah, I'll leave a lot of the other stuff out now.
Yeah, you mentioned Jason earlier, one of the guys that would show up to train. That doesn't surprise me to hear that. Jason Scott, guy that's come out on Roots a couple of times. And how many fights are you up to now?
11. So he started training February last year from zero.
Yep.
Had his first fight in June, and this was his 11th.
Yeah,
so
nice.
I love the kid, eh?
Yeah.
He's special.
No, I was blown away because he fought on that Root show, I think Roots 10 at Red Scooter, and he fought one of Carl Draper's boys, I think. Or Carl Draper, I think. And and I was just, like you said, he'd been training for 5-6 months. I was like, holy shit, like, beautiful style.
Yeah, man. His last fight was actually a different Jason. He was actually like hungry because he lost his second to last fight pretty miserably. He just did nothing for the whole fight. Had like a bad adrenaline dump, and everyone had been pissing in his ear about how easy it was going to be for him and stuff, and he just didn't handle the pressure. And then he's Ryan, like I've spoken about, Ryan, who's actually fought on a couple of your shows as well. He gave him a good talking to about, you know, believing in yourself and telling yourself you're good at Muay Thai. And this last fight was absolutely a different Jason. Like, he was actually trying to hurt the guy.
Yeah.
Nice to watch.
Yeah, I've got the link to that. I think that's the one you tagged me in the other day, so it's actually on my desktop to watch.
Yeah, cool. It's worth the watch. You did an awesome job.
Yeah. So is the sort of the Muay Thai scene in Adelaide getting a bit busier with number of promotions and fights now? Because I think for a long time it was mainly, I guess, Knees of Fury.
Knees of Fury, and there was the Shins of Steel.
Yep.
Resurrection's been around for a fair while. They struggle to get matchups. People just don't support the show.
That's Sarun's and Rob show, yeah, Rob Tiller.
Yeah, so I've been sponsoring the show the last couple of shows, and I've been filling up the card with anyone in my gym who'll jump in.
Yep.
But yeah, it's now there's Pride. Carly's doing an awesome job with that. We've got Combat Sports Promotions, which is based out of from a guy who's from a K1 background, but they have a mixture of everything on there, from shoot boxing to K1 to kickboxing to Muay Thai.
Yep.
They do a Sunday Arvo show, which is quite a cool little change. What else is going on at the moment?
Bordertown?
Watertown is absolutely a cracker show, hey. You got to get your ass over for this year's.
Yeah.
It's actually a wicked show, eh?
Yeah. That's a WKA show, yeah? Yeah. So Donnie's put a few guys on, yeah.
Yeah. Donnie's he's got #1 on this year as well, so just cool.
Fighting Brooke Cooper.
Yeah, it's a mad matchup.
Yeah. I actually got to meet #1 yesterday. I went to Don and Poy's house for lunch and had a chat. So yeah, she said she goes, she's pretty much entirely fought foreigners. She's never really fought a lot of Thais.
Yeah, she was pretty famous in the early days. Like, she was the first female Muay Thai fighter I knew of, like Thai.
Yep.
Oh, when she was young, she was a kid then.
Yeah.
Channel 9 and stuff, I remember.
So how did the whole Muay Thai journey start for you? How did you get into it? What was your first exposure to it? Who was your first trainer? You've had a lot of fights and been away in Thailand, lived and trained for a long time. So kind of people sometimes just see you as the guy with the pink hoodie on and walking around and cracking jokes. They don't know the real Pinky.
Yeah, no, they don't. Like, a lot of people don't. A lot of people don't know where I've come from. Like, from my mental illness background, everything. I literally started Muay Thai because a mate asked me to come to training. I didn't even know what it was. He used to do Zendukai and Muay Thai, and he's like, "I'll come to training." I go, "Which one should I do?" And he's like, "Well, Zendukai is a little bit more pajama based," and so I went on for my first session, and it was the first time I honestly, this is going to sound loserish or whatever, the first time in my life I actually felt like I could be someone, eh?
Yeah.
Like, I literally had no self-confidence. I've been beaten down since I was a little kid, and I literally fell in love with it from the first session. I had a drug problem and stuff from a pretty young age, and literally Muay Thai has saved my life. My first trainer, Sam Benetti, I still love that guy so much. He's actually not training people anymore, so he sends people to train with me. His son trains with me. Nice. And we still keep in touch very regularly. We were just chatting yesterday. He still lives locally. And then when he shut up shop and I came back from Thailand, I went to Flinders, Alan Wong.
Yep.
He's always been a really strong mentor of mine. We got off to a rough start, but I love the guy. Yeah.
How old were you when you first started training?
20 when I first started.
Nice.
It was literally this month. Was 17 years ago I started.
Yep.
And then a couple of years later I went to Thailand for the first time, and I realised that it's where I wanted to be, I guess. Spent 4 years going backwards and forwards, like trying to work and go back, spend more time there than here. Then in 2009 I just went on a one-way ticket, hating the world, went over there on a one-way ticket, try and escape life, and it took me 5 years to come back.
Nice. Where were you training in Thailand? I know you had a bit of a stint at Elite as well.
Yeah, so I ended my career at Elite, and then I was a trainer there. I was the first person training there. Even it was just me and a trainer at the time.
Yeah.
And then Tolly, the big boss, put me on as like gym manager, and then I started training people from there. Started out in the early days in WMC camp in Samui.
Yeah.
That's where I first started. Then I was at Rompo Gym in Bangkok back in the Russian days. Jabba and Arslan and Ramazan, all them guys since like 2005.
Yeah.
Consider them really good friends. Then I sort of floated around a little bit. I went and lived in the northeast of Thailand in temples and stuff for a while, just to once again escape life. Then when I came back to Bangkok, I was at Sochitlada, and then 96 Penang, Gasipok Penang,
Yep.
which was pretty famous back in the day. They have,
great gym.
I used to train out of there at the time as well.
Yeah.
I spent 3 years there. That was my busiest time in my career. That was when I was fighting like 3 times a month and stuff. And then, then I went to Elite. I decided to semi-retire, and I went to Elite, had my last few fights, and it was, done and done.
Yeah.
We're back.
Done your back and come back. At Elite, were you training with Trainer Gay?
I had my last couple of fights under him. I would prefer to leave that as all I say about him.
Oh, right. Okay, cool. I was going to...
The only trainer I would ever say anything bad about, and I'd prefer not to do it here.
Yeah. No, all good, man. All good. Before you left and when you came back, what was the... what did you notice as the big difference in the Australian Muay Thai scene?
It became Thai style. There was no... Like, before I left, it was literally no one knew what they were doing. It was like everyone thought that, Queensland was the busiest, but everyone thought that's what Muay Thai was. Whereas, you come back, I came back, and all of a sudden there was actually Thai style. It's so nice to watch. So I didn't see the transitions. I didn't see how it got to that, but all of a sudden there was actually people fighting a Thai style, fighting Muay Thai against Thais, looking like Thais. I wasn't around when you started promoting and stuff, and I don't have a clue how it got to where it got to. I think it was just through Thais coming to Australia and being trainers and stuff. But the difference is night and day. It was just that kickboxing, brawling style. It's whoever could throw the most in 3 2-minute rounds won. There was nothing pretty about it. There was nothing nice about it at all back. Like when was it 05 when I first went to Thailand.
Yeah, I think what was it, around 2002, 2003 when I was training with Tui a bit. I sort of had a break wrestling. I came back, and I remember we had a guy at the gym, and Tui was like, "Oh man, it's so hard to get someone to actually fight in full Thai." It was like Muay Thai, and it's now like, you've been to the Roots card, like Rebellion, obviously, but even the Roots card, we're almost at a point where the whole idea of someone fighting Muay Thai's kind of gone out, which is really good, which is what the sport should be.
Yeah, we do Muay Thai. We don't do another. It's not another sport. So the whole argument comes in. Well, if you fight with elbows, you should be getting paid. No, you should just, if you don't want to get paid, put elbow pads on.
Yeah,
yeah. Like I think it's Muay Thai, so you should be using light weapons.
Yeah, and it does. It just gets those habits. I mean, even now with the amateurs, I don't know what it's like at the moment in Adelaide, but we're kind of getting closer here to having Muay Thai Victoria established, so we can, and we want to make that. We want to make sure that it's if you fight even from the beginning with elbow pads, and we have to do the headgear thing for amateurs, but get it started that way because the transition over the last few years has been amazing. But I think once we get that next stage, and even like the proper entry-level amateurs, they'll wear big gloves, but they'll still have elbow pads. Get them used to it, and I think it's going to make it all. Because it's one of the funny things. Like, sure, there's the cuts and the knockouts, but you can still get kneed in the face in a Muay Thai fight and kick, and people don't worry about that. And the stuff that hurts you the most is just
the thing is, a lot of people will fight smarter because they're using elbows. Yeah. They're not just going to run forward with their head down and punch like a spastic. They're going to actually think about, I might get hit with an elbow. So it actually tidies the sport up a little bit as well. Here in Adelaide, it's weird as far as how the government regulations go. Like, you guys are pretty black and white, whereas we're like, you have to start with headgear and shin guards on. But if the promoter gives you a head scan, you don't have to fight with headgear and shin guards.
Yeah.
So you can have your first fight with or without, depending on what sanctioning body, depending on who the promoter is, depending on how tight ass the promoter is.
Yeah.
It's just all over the shop. But now pretty much everyone's fighting now full Thai rules. Like,
good.
All my guys are having their first fights with full Thai rules now as a general rule.
If we get to the point where that distinction of even having to use the term Muay Thai and full Thai goes away, because I still find it kind of funny. Sometimes I have to write it on Facebook posts, and Don's always like, "Why did you write that?" I'm like, "Because these two guys, if I don't write on the Facebook post and there's an argument later on at the show, at least I've got to say, this was the agreement, but yeah.
You have to do it because people will always people will look for a way out and people will look for an excuse. So if they can point the finger at someone else, they will.
Yeah. And, like, I think you can see sometimes when people have gone from having a lot of Muay Thai fights to full Thai, and they're a bit either way gun shy or way over enthusiastic with it. Yeah. So I think that'll start. Yeah. And I mean, New South Wales, sometimes there's guys who've got Australian and South Pacific modified Thai Muay Thai titles. I mean, look, people are participating, and I spoke to Angie about it, and she had her ideas and things. But it's like when you sit back and go, we've already got kickboxing, we've already got K1, and we've already got Muay Thai. Do we really need someone who's had 25 fights and is fighting for I don't even know what South Pacific sort of would qualify you as, but like a Muay Thai title? And then at what stage, at how many fights in are you going to say, all right, cool, I'm going to fight with elbows?
Yeah, I totally agree. Like, some people will go their whole career and not fight elbows because, as a general rule, they're from a kickboxing K1 gym, and they have their place. That's what they do. But so many people use the ego to want to have every title they can have.
Yeah,
and instead of just going, okay, I'm a K1 kickboxing fighter, I'm going to fight K1 kickboxing fighters. They get offered a title, I will do it with no elbows, so we'll call it Muay Thai, whatever it happens to be. They're from a Muay Thai gym, they're fighting elbows.
Yeah. And it is. Now we're getting to that point where I think the number of Muay Thai gyms far greater than kickboxing K1 gyms. Like, there's obviously some good gyms around.
I honestly think it's had its day. Like, obviously the heyday of like the early 2000s and stuff was absolutely hectic with kickboxing and K1, especially Melbourne. Everyone was chasing Melbourne, But now I honestly think it's had its day. It has its place, like with the glory thing and one kickboxing and all that sort of stuff. But I think the pool needs to be found in Muay Thai fighters. So Thomas Wilkins, for instance, he could fight K1, not a problem. He's not a Thai style. He's not a, femur, and he can fight just hands and feet if he had to, or not clinching and that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
But that then, I suppose, makes the pool smaller of fighters in that, and there's still the money in the kickboxing. That's the problem, You can still go for, like, our mate on King of Combat. He can pay some good purses, which is hard to find in Muay Thai as such.
Yeah. And look, I mean, I think the bit I have a bit of a struggle with sometimes is when, like the one championship kickboxing tournament, or we've had them here where it's like a tournament, but the field is predominantly made up of Muay Thai fighters. And I always say, I don't have an issue with that. It's just that I don't mind watching K1. I grew up watching Peter Etz was my hero, and Andy Hug were my hero, and I love the Nurse Hus. But I don't want to watch Muay Thai guys who don't necessarily have the skill set to fight K1. They don't have the hands. They don't have that ability. Yep. So it makes it kind of look like a half-assed. It's like watching boxers fight Muay Thai.
Like that, when that popped up with, I suppose the one was one of them, and the one that Sam Bark won in the Alpha one.
Alpha Man, yeah.
Those were like all Muay Thai guys.
Yeah.
It freaks me out. Is it because people don't want to risk the cuts and stuff from elbows in an earlier fight? Is that why promoters do it, or
no? This is genuinely my take on it, especially in Victoria. Is people always go, "Oh," I'm like, the main guys who've been promoting in Melbourne for a lot of years and putting the time and effort into it have owned K1 and kickboxing gyms. So that's the background they're coming from. So, Johnny and Joey and Joe Nader and Peter Haddon, those guys, they are coming from it. So they're going to promote something they have an interest in and love in, and they've got their own fighters doing it. So I think that's why that side of it's been done. But there's also that, I think if you watched Muay Thai in Australia, in Melbourne 20 years ago at a low level, it was pretty scrappy and crappy, and people didn't know how to clinch, and the referees didn't know when to stop it. So people just went, oh, it's boring. But I'm like, you find Muay Thai clinching boring, but you'll watch a 25-minute UFC fight where Khabib is mounted on top of someone just like pummeling him. It's like, well, that's grappling, yeah. So I think it's just the quality and the understanding of it. So you'll still get, it's like, make him break it up after 5 seconds. I'm like, why? If a guy is actually holding on, I'm like, you don't tell a K1 guy, okay, you can only throw one punch at a time because it gets boring. You guys throw two punches at a time. But for Muay Thai guys, it's like, keep it active. I'm like, there's plenty of crappy inside fighting in boxing. There's lulls in every sport.
100%. Yeah, I totally agree. I think a lot of it comes back to one of the subjects we get on pretty regularly is education.
Yep.
Everyone needs to understand the finer points. Like me watching BJJ, or even, I wouldn't even say I've tried it, but watching BJJ, I have no idea what I'm looking at. So to me, it's boring shit. Like I don't have an interest in it, so I don't know what's going on. But people who are into it understand it, and because they're educated in that subject, I think it's the same in Muay Thai. If you're going to be watching Muay Thai, start getting a bit of education. Don't just rock up to the fights because whatever. If it's a once-off because you're watching your mate fight for the first time or something, okay. But if you're going to be making it a regular thing, start learning what it's about a little bit. Not just about a punch on.
Yeah.
Which is where, when everyone complains about a wrong decision, it's usually because one person punched on or something and the other person didn't.
Yeah,
they see, moving forward and throwing lots of shots and doesn't mean shit. Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, I think that's my point. I mean, I read when Toby came to fight Wayne Parr on Power Play, Blair was asking about the WK and stuff. And I went on the WK sites and did the dork thing and read all the rules. I even read the K1 rules. And even in K1 and stuff, they still say shots that land undefended and cleanly are the ones that, it doesn't say the person who puts the most amount of output. It's like that with every sport. And like with jiu-jitsu, I mean, I remember the first time I walked into a jiu-jitsu gym when I was like 16, 17 watching it. It was like the first 2 times watching it, I'm like, it's 2 guys rolling around with each other. 6 months down the track, it's like that guy's got that position, that guy got that position. He's trying to pass guard and get into that position, and you start to understand it. And it is that, like, I feel there's even fighters who fight Muay Thai but don't ever watch Muay Thai, so they watch kickboxing in K1. And or
UFC.
Yeah, and my pet thing that I'm like, I'm trying to get as much information because I want to build my case on it is the whole Ramon Dekkers thing. Like, I fucking love Ramon Dekkers. Everyone loves him.
Not even a slight liking for his style.
No. Not as a Muay Thai style, because I always, like, when people say it's Dutch Muay Thai, I'm like, it's not Dutch Muay Thai. It's Dutch kickboxing. Those guys, most of his fights were under kickboxing rules. 34 fights against Thais. He lost most of them. And people go, but Ramon Dekkers. I'm like, but what? What are you talking about? If you want to watch...
I appreciate what he did for bringing Muay Thai to the Western world.
Yep.
But as far as anything else goes, most of he fought any big name Thais that he fought, he lost to. His style was disgusting to watch. It's all right for people who like a fight. Like it's if you don't know what you're looking at, that's what most people are going to be attracted to because it's exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah, for me, I'm not a fan. Rest in peace. But it's not. I've never been a fan. Like in the early days, my big brother put me onto him, and he liked him and stuff. And yeah, it's not my thing, eh? Like I don't really.
I liked his spirit, the way he fought, and watching it in K1 and kickboxing rules, I understand it. But it's people always go, oh yeah, but Ramon Dekkers. I'm like, yeah, Ramon Dekkers wasn't fighting as much as you think Muay Thai, and the Dutch guys who fight Muay Thai still fight Muay Thai. The guys who fight K1 and kickboxing, they train a whole different way. There's a lot of confusion and misinformation.
Yeah, for sure. I totally agree. And the people if people proudly say they like the Dutch style and that's what they, their Dutch kickboxing style and that's what they go with, then cool, yeah, awesome. Like, do that.
Yeah.
But it's the people who think that doing Dutch style kickboxing and fighting Muay Thai. See, I don't care. Like personally, I don't care if my guys lose to someone who doesn't fight Thai style.
Yeah.
If we get into a Muay Thai fight and the guy's fighting I don't know what. I honestly, it doesn't bother me. I'd rather my guy look good, do a Muay Thai, and lose because he got bum rushed by someone who has no idea what they're doing, than to go out there and just punch on to try and score the most points.
100%, especially at an early stage, I think in their career, I agree with that because I think a lot of newbies, like when they fight, I reckon Carter Lawrence is probably a good example. I reckon Jason's probably a good example of guys who they've got the style that in 30, 40 fights, they're going to be something really special, but they might not be winning the fights right at the start because they might be fighting guys who are just fighters, but rely solely on that, but they're not necessarily going to develop as Muay Thai fighters down the track. So at the start, like you said, like, cool, you lost. We've had it with our boxers, first or second fight, lost to a guy that's just gone crazy for 3 rounds. I'm like, you lost to that guy. That guy's never going to get a lot better than what he's doing now. You will.
Yeah, I've had the fighters like that as well. Like they just don't improve because they win, because they keep winning. They don't improve, but they're just disgusting to watch. No Thai style at all, and those are usually the ones that do disappear though after their first loss.
Yeah,
like they realise that, oh, hang on, I thought I was good. And going back to the Carter Lawrence thing, I can actually say, like, I'm a big fan of Carter, and I personally asked for Jason to fight Carter because I like Carter's stuff.
Yeah.
And that was, 12 months into Jason starting Muay Thai, and I think, he got outclassed clearly. But you look at where Carter is, like, he's actually really good. And I'm proud to say that my boy fought him, eh?
Yeah, and we had, I think his first 2 losses were guys from our gym, and like, I think there was always a disagreement on who thought they won, but he was like, we were like, oh, he's physically and stuff. He wasn't super strong. He did land kicks that weren't super strong, but he's just, those same 2 guys, if they fought him now, they'd have serious problems on their hands. And he's developed and, just quiet, and it's working, it's working for him.
We had a boy he came and fought over here on Resurrection on short notice. He fought one of the guys from Flinders who also trains with me. But Carter took it on a few days' notice. I actually paid for Carter to come because I needed an opponent for our boy.
Yeah.
So Carter came out. That was the first time I actually really met him. But yeah, he lost to one of our boys. But yeah, it was a short notice fight and stuff as well. And I think our boy now would actually have a hard task against him.
No, they're doing good job. We talked earlier a little bit about one championship. What's your sort of opinion on my number one? I like so many things they do. The only couple of things that I have reservations about is the 4 different formats you might be fighting in. So you might be in the ring with gloves, you might be in the ring with little gloves, you might be in the cage with gloves, you might be in the cage with little gloves. You still have one world champion for Muay Thai, but they could have won it with little gloves in the cage, and then the next fight they're fighting a guy with gloves in the ring.
Yeah, I hate the little gloves, like a lot of people do. I think it's a good way to a short career. But I think there just needs to be some consistency. Make a rule set, and that's how it is. There's someone might say, I don't want to fight with this way. Okay, well then don't fight under that rule set. Then it's plain and simple. I think if they want to do the Muay Thai with the small gloves, do it. If they want to do the kickboxing with the big gloves, do it. They can't have it just different depending on the day.
Yeah.
Very, very inconsistent. I think their judging is quite good. A lot of people, there's more people bitching about their judging than anyone, but I actually quite agree. I didn't like them going back on a certain decision, but I think that was pretty unprofessional. It took a lot of credit away from what they do.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think as far as the judging goes, they're quite on the ball.
Yeah, I think the only one that I've seen that I wasn't a massive fan of was the last George Mann fight. I thought he won that. I mean, we had a boy. Yeah, we had a boy boxing, and we were in the changing rooms warming him up. And it's just an amateur boxing thing that have no interest in the other fight sports. But me and Benny are sitting on the floor watching the fight and just yelling at the phone. And I was like, all right, we got to go out there now. But it was just, I thought it was, not a big fan of that.
George messaged me the other day asking about it because he knows I'll give my honest opinion. I spoke to Daz that night about it. I think it came down to, in Thailand, if you're tapping away, you're not really making, you're not really making impact.
Yeah.
And whereas Soccerao was, and just so everyone knows, Chevello says it's Soccerao or some weird name. It's Soccerao. It's Khmer for country boy. So yeah, he was kicking him hard. He was moving George. Whereas George out tapped him, out scored him. How would you say it? I thought George had won as well, in my opinion. But when the decision was made, it didn't really surprise me because it was power over quantity.
Yeah.
Big, heavy shots over quantity.
Did you see George and Yotkumpun on my show?
Yeah.
Yeah. That was the other one that was like, I mean, I love George, but I love Yotkumpun. And that was one of the other ones where I thought everything Yotkumpun was thrown with power.
If they were scored the same, it would have been the same sort of decision.
Yeah.
Where everyone would have gone, oh, but I think in Australian scoring,
yeah,
we won't get too much into that. I think that was a fair decision for George to win that fight.
Yeah.
If that was either, I suppose, on one or in Thailand, it wouldn't have because he wasn't throwing the power shots.
Yeah.
Exactly the same as the fight with Soccerao. He was throwing more shots, more quantity, landing them, but not doing damage.
Yeah.
Whereas Soccerao and Yotkumpon were doing damage with their shots.
Yeah. And I spoke to, I think like Jeb gave it by a round to George, and he said, I said, I always talk to Jeb, I respect his opinion. And he goes, there was rounds where Yotkumpun just didn't do enough. He kind of blocked and he moved and did stuff, but he just didn't do what he threw, but he just didn't do it enough. He goes, if he worked a little bit more in one round, he would have won that fight. And I was like, okay, well, I'll take that. But yeah, kind of in line with what you're saying as far as throwing it with, as the Westerners would say, with bad intentions.
Well, that sounds like you should have been saying punches in bunches.
Yeah. Angles, punches in bunches, bad intentions.
Yeah. You'd be a good cornerman.
Yeah, no, perfect. At the moment, you get around to a lot of shows. You get around to a lot of shows. Who are your favorite Aussie fighters to watch? I guess more at the top level, and then obviously at the grassroots level too.
Okay. My top, Dave Penapeti's still my favourite.
Style-wise, yeah.
Yeah. Tyler Hardcastle, hard to beat that style as well. I love a good southpaw. George Mann's another one. I'm a big fan there. I'm having Jonathan Oulu growing on me.
Yeah.
We're trying to get Thomas to fight him. So everyone, try and get behind that. Locally, my boy Jason, 50 Shades. Have to give him a plug. But honestly, his style, I think if he commits to it and gets his head in the right spot, he could go somewhere with it.
Yep.
The local scene is starting to get a lot more Thai styles. So there's him, Stephen Brown from Flinders, I like his style, and Brody Collins, who Thomas just fought recently.
Yep.
Another good style locally. But yeah, on the Australian scene, so many. There's actually some really, really good. I like Sebastian Holmes for his kicking style. Everyone loves Toby for pressure and that walk-up style.
Absolute carnage, yeah.
Absolute carnage. He will make an easy fight hard to make it and more entertaining. That's Muay Thai made entertaining.
Yeah.
It's, absolutely. And this just what you put on your shows and what Daz puts on his shows, there is so much. I love myself a good Irishman, so Barry, I love Barry's style.
Yeah, tough as, eh?
Those guys who knew my guy Paddy that I had fighting for him, another Irish lad.
Yep.
He's like a mini version of, actually he was probably heavier at the time, but like a mini Barry Oliver.
Yeah.
but the edge didn't stick it out. And it was literally the same style as well. Short, thick, puncher, leg kicker. I love Barry. Pretty much, if you come out of Daz's gym, I'm probably going to plug you. Not physically. And then...
maybe a little.
And then any up and comer out of Donny's gym, I enjoy watching Donny's guys. Everyone knows I'm really, really good friend with Donny. I consider him one of my best friends. Andy Parnham's guys, your mate. Love Andy. I'm
going to have a gym at the moment, so he's got a little bit on. So I'm trying to actually be nice, calling him, saying nice things. But as soon as that thing settled in, it's back on again.
I'm glad you left me alone. Let's just say that. But also, I love, Alex Ilioski. Sad that Thomas didn't get to fight him. Hopefully, he makes a comeback.
I think he's back in the gym again.
I saw his in training the other day.
I want to. The fight I'd like to put on is Alex and Jonathan Ilu, because the Queenslanders have, Jonathan's the second coming of Jesus as far as they're concerned, and I'm like, I think the guy is a massive talent, but I wanted, like, the guys that I know he's fought, that I know, like, directly in Victoria, they're good, tough guys, but I wouldn't put him right up there just yet. Alex, if his head's in the right place, I think he's top 2, 3 best guys at sort of super welterweight in Australia. So
100%. I think I love his style. Obviously doesn't make big power, but you don't need to when you can avoid everything.
Yeah.
I love Lewis. Lewis has probably got one of the nice styles in Australia.
100%.
I could watch him all day, every day. As I said, there's so many good fighters around now. Like even if they don't have a name yet, or they don't, they've been beaten by a lot of the big names, they've still got a nice style to watch, and I can proudly say I can watch Australian Muay Thai on YouTube now and not get bored.
Yeah, I mean, look, man, like, there's like 4 girls, I mean, that I can think of that are sort of under 10 fights, 12 fights. Joanne, Spring, Sam, and Soraya, those 4 girls alone. I watched their skill level, like, just how beautifully they fight. Like, all 4 of those girls, I'd happily watch them fight each other 20 times. Alex Ilioski and Lewis Regis, when they fought for the WMC title on my show, it was one of the single fights where I was sitting there with my head halfway stuck through the rope, because that was one of my, like, ideal matchups I wanted to do. And you just watch it and you go, look at the way they're moving, they're composed. It was just gorgeous.
Yeah. I guess it was kind of like Som versus Spring. That was like just a chess match, And obviously the Som Spring one was a little bit more one-sided, but it was still that both playing, like, moving their pieces one at a time, and it was tidy. It's nice to watch. I could watch that stuff all day long.
Yeah.
People who aren't educated don't like that because they find it boring.
Yeah.
The people who love Muay Thai love a good chess match.
Yeah. We still like the bits of carnage of Toby's, 100%. But overall. Yeah.
We're entertained by the brawl as well as the chess match.
Yeah. It's a good fun mixture.
You can have a chess match brawl, like it's like a puncher and a kneer playing the game. It's just about knowing what you're looking at, I guess.
Yeah. There's a good fight of I think we're going to reshare it on our Instagram. A fight of Richard Fanousa's back. It's one of my favorite fights ever. And he fought one of Rung Chai's boys on my second eliminator. And that's still one of my favorite. It was just these 2 guys basically need each other for 5 rounds. I'm getting a blank. I think his surname is Habib.
Okay.
We'll put it up. It's amazing. I'm actually friends with him. He's a lovely guy. I chat to him semi-regularly, but I'm just getting a blank with the name. But we'll chuck it up on our Instagram, on YouTube. It's such a good fight. What do you got coming up, man? What's happening fights-wise coming up?
Just had 2 pull-outs for Knees of Fury, so now we've only got Tom on now. Jason's opponent pulled out, and another one of my beginners, like my first timer, his opponent pulled out. got Tom fighting Oscar something or other from New Zealand.
Yep.
What a tall, rangy, nice Thai style actually.
Nice.
So that, then later he fights a local boy, Matt Moss, who's pretty handsy. They're fighting on Carly's show. Jason's on Carly's show against a guy from NRT.
Yeah.
Daniel Dawson. Then we've got a bit of a break. Hopefully, I'm still hoping Tom will get to fight Jonathan Aulu in that time.
Yep.
Then we've got Bordertown. So I've got 4 matches currently for Bordertown, even though that's in October.
Yep.
Potentially another 2 going on. And yeah, like still want to try and get on your show as well, like depending on what happens with Bordertown, I guess.
Yep.
A week before Bordertown, we got Combats. And I think I've got 2 guys. I've got 2 guys nominated for that, and they'll probably get matched.
Nice.
So we've got a lot coming up. This is our busiest year. We had 16 fights in the first half of the year. Last year, we only had 19 for the whole year. So we're, just continually trying to grow the business. I'm spending a lot more time here now, trying not to travel as much. So I'm trying to get the gym pumping, get the business side of it going.
Yep.
I'll do these things. Get the business side going and get people really happy with how the boys are running classes. So it makes me traveling a little bit easier.
Yep.
There's no, oh, now we're not going to bother rocking up, which used to be like that. It would go from 20 people in a class. I'd go away, there'd be 4 people in the next class, and I wasn't there. Whereas now nothing changes. It's still the same guys running the classes.
Awesome, man. That's great. All right, man. Well, I know you're a busy man today. Got PTs and classes. Thanks so much, man. It's well overdue. And, we'll be, I'm sure, seeing each other very soon.
Awesome. Sounds good. I'll definitely be over for the next show, if not before.
Awesome, man. It's the 8, man. You have to be there for that.
100%.
All right.
100%.
Cheers, Pinky. Thanks very much, brother.
All right. Cheers, everyone. Thanks.
Thanks. Yeah.